I somehow feel like I always have something to prove. And watch me. Give me that fuel, and I will go out and I will prove you wrong. If you doubt me,
watch me do it.
I didn't give up my well-paying autopilot,
stable
insurance, 401k for this business to fail.
Has it always felt hard for you to take credit for things that you've done well?
100%. Yes. And then my success continues to move because I keep moving the goalposts as an athlete.
As we do.
I was a fucking badass lefty. My role was to take the corners. That's who this is in these photos. I was sort of not always happy, so I found sport to kind of feed me. Sport is really what kept me going, I think. Just being around other athletes, like-minded people. Yep. It's the energy. It's the camaraderie that just naturally exists in the space.
We used to have to hunt down to see all these women's games on TV.
Those moments where I get to stand back and I'm looking at a standing room only packed place, I am filling a void. I'm getting that intrinsic value that I was so seeking. My soul is actually being fed. It's changing the game for me.
Today's guest is Jax Diener, the owner of Watch Me, California's first bar dedicated to celebrating women's sports and the fourth in the U.S. In this episode, we dive into the fire that's fueled her from childhood kickball fields now to national conversations about visibility in sports. We talk career pivots, building community, and what it really takes to step into your power when no one hands you the playbook. Welcome to No Former Athlete Podcast.
Thank you so much.
Yes. Are you an athlete?
Absolutely. I am an athlete. Yes. Mm-hmm. Yes. Mm-hmm. I was just having this conversation with someone recently about that. Yeah. And I was saying, I don't feel like I'm an athlete. And she said, you need to own that you are.
Yes.
And I realized, yes, why am I feeling like I'm not when that mentality has never left me? And that's what got me here. So yeah, I'm an athlete. Are you?
I am an athlete. And even doing this work and having a full brand that's called No Former Athlete, I did the exact same thing. And sometimes it's still hard because those memories, those things that you used to do without having to think twice about it, your brain's like, can I go, play at the exact same level? No.
Yeah.
But also I haven't been practicing to be able to do that. So
that's true. Yeah.
For so long, you're kind of let the glory days go, like move on to the next thing, all of that. And it's like, why? It's still a part of you.
It is.
That same girl that was playing those sports when she was, 5, 6, 7 years old, she didn't leave you.
Yeah, those memories are just so important and powerful, right? And those are the things that led us through our life, right? Yeah. So to here. So yeah.
Absolutely. Give us a little bit of Jax's background, athletic history. Where did it start for you?
Oh, well, I would like to think that it started when my mom put me in tap and ballet at like 3 or 4 and in tutus. And
you're not still wearing your tutus?
I gave up the tutus. She likes to say that I retired from tap and ballet at age 5. And that was when I decided that in kindergarten, I needed to be out playing kickball with all the boys on the little asphalt kickball field at recess. So I somehow barreled my way onto that field and started kickball, which led to soccer. She finally let me play AYSO at 9. I think it goes back to realizing I am no dancer. But I do have something in there. There's something there, and I need to hone it. And somehow I kind of shifted it into the sports realm, and soccer was my sport for so many years. I just loved AYSO. I just had so much fun. And my dad was really into baseball, and my brother was not, though my dad tried to get him to play. So I got into softball, and my dad used to take me out and hit fly balls out to me and take me to the batting range and all that goodness. And so my 2 sports were soccer and softball. I really feel like those are my fondest memories, being in junior high and high school with my buds, just, playing and going out there and having fun. And
that's what it was all about, right?
So great. And pushing yourself, right? Beyond the limits. Yeah.
I love that. How long did you play?
I definitely played into adult leagues. So I didn't play in college.
Okay.
Back then, they did not have pro.
No.
So I remember thinking, there's no place I can go beyond, right? So if I go into college for a specific team, I will not be able to do anything beyond that. And I was, I guess, career focused and decided, okay, I'm just going to, go into adult leagues and not play on the college level.
So you started adult leagues while you were still in college?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Was that a hard decision to make?
Yeah, and I struggled in school. I was that person that had test anxiety, and so I didn't do well. I did well earlier on in school, and as I got older, I think I had a lot of anxiety that kind of overtook.
Yeah.
So for me, it was like, let's just focus on career and not school. Maybe that's the direction I go. Yeah.
Knowing where you are now, reintegrated back into sport and all of that, that had to have been it sounds like maybe a logical choice at the time. Very much like, okay, what am I preparing myself for the next thing? Mm-hmm. But I also think that's totally a no former athlete mindset of like, what am I working towards next?
Yes. Yeah, 100%.
Yeah. People talk about goal setting in athletics a lot, right? And so it's like, I do feel like athletes develop that skill of being able to set big goals. But at the same time, it's like, as soon as you don't have that sport anymore and you don't have national championship written at the end of your goal line, it's like, yeah, what am I working towards?
Right. Well, I actually went into recreation admin as a major. That's what I majored in. So I knew that I had this, kind of sports thread in me. And then that led into really solid, and I will always say this, people might laugh over being a rec major, but that's where I learned my program and planning and project management in order to make all the things happen that happened in my career, whether it was in sports or not. You just said it, goal setting and planning and all of that, that came from all of that. I learned how to do all of that, and that athlete mindset fit really well into being a rec admin major and kind of finding my path.
Totally.
Yeah.
So for you, your last, other than the adult leagues that you moved into, but your last like playing for a team for your school, competitive, organized team was high school. Do you remember that like first freshman year of college? Do you remember kind of where you were at mentally, emotionally about your athletic career?
Back in my day, soccer, I couldn't even play in high school. There was no soccer team because I would have played it. It was only guys. And softball, however, I came in as a freshman, and this is a story I like to tell. So I went through tryouts, and the coach came up to me and said, so we don't have any spots left on varsity, so you would have to basically sit on the bench. You could play JV 100% of the time, or you can play varsity and sit on the bench. And I said, well, I'm not out here to sit on the bench, so put me on JV so I can play. She put me on varsity. I played every game. I was all-star. I was all the things because she understood my mentality, where I was coming from. I am an athlete and I'm going to play. And, wherever you're going to put me, that's where I will excel.
Yeah.
And sitting on the bench is not going to be my problem. That's actually going to be your problem. So I think she realized that.
You keeping me on the bench is actually your problem.
Oh, so I think that was actually her problem. But,
and that's who she wants on the field.
Yes.
That's exactly who she wants on the field.
Yes, and so she realized that. And I went out there and crushed it. And luckily, where my dad had been training me those years prior, those came into play, literally. So,
Just kind of that mentality around it is so important. Even thinking about kids that are choosing colleges and things like that. And as they transition, it's like, sometimes you have to take a hard look at yourself and be like, do I want to play on a team where I know I'm going to contribute? Maybe it's not, what society deems as the top level or whatever it is. Or am I going to go to a team where like I am just riding the bench, but I'm have the jersey, have the name and all that. So I love that.
I went to San Diego State. I mean, it was party school. I don't know what it's known as now, but that definitely was what it was. Okay. And that's what it was about. And I think there's my coming out story in that first year too. And so I don't know that I was missing it in the kind of school environment, but what I can tell you, what led me feel comfortable coming out and being in a space that I enjoyed was coming home every weekend to LA because I joined an adult league and I played soccer. Amazing. And so I came right back to it. While I wasn't playing actually for college. I still found a way to fulfill that gap that was there and plug the hole. So, yeah.
As I continue to talk to more and more people, a lot of us had the intertwining of coming out with our sports, with our identity shifts in all those ways, whether it be college, whether it be for some people, high school, but very similar experience over here. I also married my teammate, so that also ties into all of the
That's
all
real
the
helpful and
part.
convenient.
There's a lot that goes into that.
Yeah.
And sometimes finding where those things meet and mingle can be a lot to handle as a 18 to 23-year-old.
Exactly. That's big. So you had to listen to yourself through all of that and trust your instincts and just go.
Yeah.
Not care about whatever else was happening.
Totally. There's so much growth and there's so much change, and sport can intertwine within that so easily.
Yeah.
But that's awesome. Finishing college, you have your rec degree. What's kind of next steps for you in that journey?
My first job was actually high school, had just graduated, and I became a summer camp counselor.
Nice.
So I got into the LA Rec and Park system that way. Loved it. It was this park I grew up in LA, so this was in West LA, and it was a very well-known park, and it had a really good reputation for having a great summer camp program. And they didn't want to hire me because I didn't have any experience other than babysitting. And I was 18, come on. But I kept saying, hello, look at me, I'm here. Kept saying, look at me. And sure enough, somebody had to bail because of a family issue. And there I was because I kept knocking on the door.
It's softball all over again.
So they put me in there. And I went on to not only direct that summer camp program, but I was also asked by the director of the park to start an after-school program for them, the first ever. It was interesting how that happened because I remember sitting in the office with her that day, and she said, we're going to start this after-school program. And I said, I would direct that. And she said, I know, I want you to. And here I was 19 years old and took it on. I had no idea what I was doing, but I figured it out. So sure enough, I directed this after-school program, which ended up having, just like the summer camp, that reputation of lines down the street to get in. That's exactly what happened. So I did that for 5 years, I believe. And then STAR, which is I don't know if you've heard of that, but it's LA Unified after-school program. Yeah. They had a program at the school down the street at Overland Elementary. And so they actually poached me.
No kidding.
And it's interesting because I look back, and at that time I was thinking of leaving. I felt like I'd hit my ceiling at the park system. I had wanted to maybe direct a park one day. That was sort of what I was looking at. Yeah. And I had a very weird interaction with a woman who was high up in the LA Rec and Park system. Okay. And so that sort of beat me down. So then I was like, okay, maybe I'm going to move on from here. I had interviewed for I don't know if it was the PGA. I feel like it was.
Okay.
PGA was doing some sort of traveling tour, and they needed somebody in the little kiosk to sell tickets. Yeah. And I threw my hat in the ring, and I got it at the same day that I got the call for the people poaching me for the after-school program. Yes. And I often wonder what would have happened if I chose the golf situation, because I ended up choosing the stability of the after-school program. I am where I'm supposed to be.
Totally.
But back at the time, and still even years now, I wonder what would my life have done if I had gone in that direction. Yeah. So I ended up running that after-school program for 5 some odd years, and then again hit my ceiling and felt like, okay, nowhere to go. What am I going to do? And that's when my career really left rec, left sports, and went all over the place. Yeah.
And then it went everywhere.
It did.
Where do you think that comes from? That feeling? Because some people would also potentially feel the ceiling, and then they would be like, okay, this is what it is. This is where I stay, this is where I kind of ride it out.
Yeah. I've just been doing so much thinking about this because of my current role. I'm adopted. And I wonder if I came out kicking and screaming with something to prove, because that's as far back as I can go. That's a whole story for another podcast with a different theme.
You take that wherever you want, girl. You take it wherever you want. But yeah,
I mean, that's kind of where I think maybe it comes from, because I have things I can't explain.
Interesting.
And if I'm trying to actually put some explanation somewhere, maybe that's it. I somehow feel like I always have something to prove. And watch me, give me that fuel, and I will go out and I will prove you wrong. Yeah. If you doubt me, I'll go out and figure it out.
Watch me do it.
Exactly.
You don't have to go there if you don't want to. But what other things do you feel like have been coming up that are the things you can't explain?
I mean, it's just the fire in me. There's one where the mayor of Long Beach has asked me to do something relating to women's sports in Long Beach.
Yeah.
I don't know how much I can say about that.
Fair.
I have no business focusing on something else right now when I have what I'm trying to do for my current business. And what I'm trying to do for my current business is way beyond a bar restaurant. Mm-hmm. It is way bigger. Now it's got like 5,000 tangents, which all have 5,000 tangents. I am incredibly busy trying to make a lot of big things happen, and I can't stop myself. So that's probably a good example. I'm having conversations with people that I never thought I would be chatting with. And
if you set out to try to do that, or you set out with like that being your goal of trying to get into, maybe these rooms or these conversations, you might not be able to like force yourself there. Yeah. But because you're truly working within your passion and you're just standing on the ground of, I know what I'm doing and I can fall back on this.
Yes.
These opportunities are opening and you are having this greatness.
Yeah, it's authenticity and it's integrity. And 100%. If you lead with those things and instincts.
Yeah.
I have some like extrasensory stuff going on, and I listen to that. And if you can hone in on those things and creative visualization, all of that is like very powerful things.
Yeah. Let's talk a little bit about kind of what you were saying before we started talking, because it fits into the whole having that fire and the fact that you may or may not have liked to be doing public speaking as much as you do now.
I had a severe fear of public speaking, like serious. Yeah. If I knew that I had to speak, say, a month from now, I would be up all night every day. Yeah. I mean, I was in knots. I couldn't do it. I would walk through it and realize after, hey, you just lived through that, and you've actually lived through way bigger things and way more important things and way more serious things. Yeah. It wasn't really that bad, but for some reason, I always kind of put myself in this thing where I was uncomfortable. And I just am now realizing that I was uncomfortable because I was not passionate about what I was speaking about. Look, where I was before my current role, I was there for 8 years. And I mean, you could look it up online. I worked with Living Spaces. Living Spaces was a great place for me to be. I ran their content production studio. I oversaw this giant studio where we shot all of our commercials. It was fun. Production's fun. I loved it. I loved my team. I developed them. I had a good time. And I was seen as a leader there. And I was asked to start a women in leadership group for the company of thousands. I loved it, but I was petrified to speak and to speak up because I didn't feel valued. I did not feel seen. And I think it's because, and this just came to me last night,
I love it.
It's because I was trying to be seen and heard from circles that could not do that. They certainly, and not a fault of their own, but they just weren't capable. And it's not a fault of mine either. I didn't know. And now I'm realizing that I have, my voice is getting out there because the right people are hearing me. And I'm being seen by people who are understanding my passion and who are respecting me just for being me. And just for going out here and trying to make some crazy cool things happen 100%. To celebrate women's sports.
When you've got that thing that you can talk about and you don't have any hesitations, you don't have any like, well, I don't know, is this like the right thing to get behind?
Yeah.
It's like, that's not even a question close to the table, right?
Yeah.
You're like, no, everyone should be behind this.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, I didn't give up my well-paying autopilot, stable 8+ years, position. Insurance, all the things, 401k. I didn't give all of that up for this business to fail. I have a lot of things ahead of me and a lot of things planned and a lot that need to happen for me to see my success. And then my success continues to move because I keep moving the goalposts as an athlete
As
would.
we do. As we do.
Yep.
Tell us about what you're doing. Tell us about what your business is. Most people that are listening probably are already going to know what it is, but tell us a little bit about it.
I am the owner of Watch Me Sports Bar. We are the first in California dedicated to celebrating women's sports. Amazing that it took that long, but we were very proud of that. So we became the 5th in the world, a little bit by proxy, the 4th, because one of them kind of went under. It's predominantly women's sports. Yep. We love sports in general. My story goes back to the NFL and wanting to, see a game and just freaking feel comfortable in a sports bar watching whatever I wanted to watch. Yeah. Our focus is to celebrate the women and these athletes that have not gotten their due. It has started out as a bar restaurant. And it is quickly shaping into way bigger and better and other things. Yes, we're listening to the community. We're changing our menu when it comes to restaurant stuff. Fair. We're doing things like that. But I have my sights set on a lot of other things, and I didn't see that coming. I knew I was creating the space all along and the community would shape it. My creativity is now on fire. Like I'm actually
opened.
Yes, it is opened up, and now I have all of these opportunities that I can actually force and create and make happen. One of the things is the Olympics is coming, and we want to be ultra stable for that. And how can we be that destination when people come to town for that, years from now, which is not that far. Yeah. So that's just one of the tangents that we're focusing on, but there's, several others. But it's a space of empowerment and support and lifting each other up. It's a space of meaning.
Yeah.
It's not just a bar or restaurant.
No.
Yeah.
It already is a destination. And I'm sure in your brain, you just want that to expand tenfold.
Yeah.
So that everybody can experience it, feel it. You're doing great already.
Oh,
but
thank you.
Also can't wait to see the next steps.
Yeah.
Because they're there. You can already feel the bones when you go to visit.
Oh, that's good. I'm happy to hear that.
Absolutely.
I always wonder, what's the perspective of someone who's walking in and the time you're spending in there?
Yeah. The types of events that you're hosting, it's like there's always new. You guys are always ideating. You're always creating. There's new events. But like you said, you're creating, whether you want to call it a safe space or just an open space or just literally a physical space for these things, yet also this space where people can now see themselves more and kind of jump off from that too.
Yeah, exactly. And where people can feel safe and can see maybe their idols up on the screen. Yeah. And hopefully I've got some big things in the works to get athletes in for meet and greets and things like that. Hey, I saw so-and-so up on the screen, and now they're right in front of me. That's because Watch Me was able to do that. And that's because of the support that we're getting from the community and the people that are seeing us and that are respecting what we're doing and that are trying to help us.
Totally. Knowing now what you're doing, you've gotten back into sports jacks. You've gotten back into kind of where so much of this fire and this drive and everything started for you.
Yeah.
Where were you mentally? Where were you emotionally kind of when you finally decided we're doing it?
There was one moment where my wife looked at me and said, maybe now's the time we do the bar. And I said, are you serious? Because I will take it and run. I did take it and run. And
yes, you did.
You cannot tell me something like that and expect me to just lay dormant. I took a picture the other day. This just happened over the weekend. I was working upstairs, and I knew it was a filled house downstairs, and people were filling in upstairs, and I just kind of took a picture over the ledge and said, I did this. And I had a moment. I was having a moment. And I don't normally share that stuff on my personal pages, but I did. And it's been some great response from my very small following on my personal page, but I'm taking it in. I'm deciding to not focus on the restaurant operations minutia. This is something that I will share. This is hard. It's hard running a bar restaurant. I'd never worked in hospitality before this. Circumstances led my wife to not be part of this as we thought she was going to be. So it has been 99% me.
Wow.
Yeah. And
which is very different from, probably when you made the big decision to, shift and pivot.
It is. Yeah. And to your point out there, creating events and doing things like that. Like that's a big part of what this business is. Right. So it's not just bar restaurant. And so what we're realizing now is that, we really need to get somebody in place to really take that assistant GM role. Fair. Away from me so that I can focus more so on the bigger things that will help the community get to meet these athletes and support the community in a better way, which is what I'm really wanting to do, whether that be young girls coming in and with their teams or off the field. I just love it when I see them out in the courtyard kicking the ball. I'm just kind of taking a look at all the things and realizing don't get hung up on the minutia of the operations of the restaurant. Yes, we need to focus on those. Totally. Yes, we need to improve those. Yes, there's tons of opportunity there. But give yourself that cred for what you've done so far in the last 8+ months. And that one, I'm going to start doing that a little bit more. Good. I just started doing it. But it feels good. I like it.
Has it always felt hard for you to take credit for things that you've done well?
100%. Yes. I don't know what is that? What do you think that is?
From my perspective, through my kind of figuring out my no former athlete things, I'm so driven by external validation of how I'm doing well to improve for the team. Uh-huh. So I find that it's very hard for me to individually own things or accept, the praise of that because it's like, oh no. Be that humble athlete. You're like, oh yeah, but it's the team. It's the teammates, which it is. Yeah. Like that has to be a part of it.
Interesting. I'm going to sit with that one. And that actually makes tons of sense. I hear what you're saying. And as I look at this current environment that I'm in, and I call them my team.
Absolutely.
And some of them still call me coach.
Love it.
That makes all kinds of sense.
Yeah. Yeah. I love that for you, even though you weren't playing a college sport, you still jumped right into leagues. Mm-hmm. Even when you were having to drive a hot distance, to go back home to play in leagues and things. For me, I had this very hard cutoff. You played all 4 years of college basketball, it's going to end. I played Division III, I knew I wasn't going to go on. That's not to say that Division III athletes can't play professionally as well. I was not going to. That was not going to be my route. Uh-huh. So I knew I was going straight to PT school. And so it's like, okay, athlete identity, done. Now you're a physical therapist. So now you need to put everything identity-wise into physical therapist. Yes, I still treat some patients here and there now, but now I'm kind of in identity crisis, number 2. It just doesn't feel as much of a crisis anymore because I've allowed myself to realize that I never lost the first identity of athlete. Yeah. And so now I'm able to acknowledge that I'm keeping all the identities in there, and they can all coexist. Yes. And they can all, shine more or less at different times. Mm-hmm. But that's kind of been my personal journey through these conversations.
Yeah, lots of inner work.
Lots of inner work.
And listen to that stuff, right? And then do something about it.
Totally.
Which is what you've done. Yeah. You're understanding your through line and you're kind of reshaping it.
When you're an athlete, you're so used to people asking you, oh, how'd the game go? But then as soon as you don't have a score to report, how do you then rate yourself, rank yourself, and how you're doing?
Yeah. You feel a little flat. Uh-huh. Yeah. Which you shouldn't.
Totally. Totally should not. Because also that's not the only valuable thing about you. Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Right? You being good at your sports wasn't the only cool thing about you.
Yeah.
It was cool, but it wasn't the only cool thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, that kind of figuring out your internal value and how to almost rate yourself and know how you're doing. We don't have a box score anymore. We don't have stats from the last game. Being the owner of Watch Me, starting Watch Me, you're now your own boss. Versus before you were in leadership positions, but you still had performance reviews, right? You still had someone else who was, whether it be keeping you on track or checking in on how the project was going.
Yes.
How has that changed for you now being the top and kind of stepping into your entrepreneur journey?
Well, one, every day, every minute is a performance review, whether it be customers, whether it be staff, team members, but mostly it's me. I am the biggest judge, trying to recognize what my wins are. And I used to ask this when I was interviewing people in the corporate world. When you leave work every day and you're going to the elevator or you're going to your car or whatever it is, what is that moment where you think, I had a good day because I did X, Y, Z? So I have to remind myself of those things. And actually, right now, they're being thrown in my face. I actually am not reminding myself of anything in these moments because things are starting to really pick up for us. But the hustle that I have done in the background every day, all the time, that I've been telling myself, you're planting seeds right now. Maybe it's not happening right now. Maybe it's not today. Maybe the business isn't where we thought it would be financially at this point. But guess what? It's going to be there. So just keep plugging away, keep doing what you're doing, and appreciate those moments. Appreciate the steps that you took. Because if I don't give myself a little bit of that, there's no one to give that to me. To your point, I don't have anyone giving me a performance review except for myself and the hardest person to do it, right? And so I have to try to come in with a little ease. Check that box. You did a good job today on having that conversation with somebody. You reached out to somebody that you hadn't planned to, or you nailed a collaboration that you've been wanting to nail for a while. There's tons of those happening right now. So I think those are my kind of meters to tell myself whether I'm having a good day or not. And if I look back at my performance of the last 8+ months since we've been open, yes, I've had some faults, but I never worked in hospitality, and I've run a restaurant and, created this space. And so I'm going to go ahead and give myself a decent grade for getting here, for getting to here. And so I think that's really important for us to understand too, is just taking those moments and those steps and getting to one more step in the road. And it's all leading us somewhere. And if we have that vision and we're getting closer to it, then we have to give ourselves some credit for that. So, maybe that's how I'd value it.
Yeah. How do you take care of you?
Ooh, right now I'm coming off a cold, so
Fair.
I know that I need to be better. I need to be if I can take a day or two. I don't know what off is for a business owner.
I know.
But if I can take just some time to escape, turn the brain off, go look at the water, go to a good restaurant, which I wish I could afford again. Things like that. I need to figure it out. And I have some physical restraints now that have kept me from going out and doing things that would probably be a good reliever and take care of myself. So I think I still have to figure out what that is. It's up there on my list, though. And I would love to get into a routine. And even if it's just walking the dogs every day or whatever, it just I need to make that more important, more of part of my routine, because I'm very routine oriented, which you probably understand.
Yeah. That athlete routine piece. But I will say, too, since I've transitioned from working full-time in a clinic as a physical therapist to now basically full-time entrepreneur, knowing that I want a routine and I'll try things here and there, and then it's oh, okay, that one didn't stick. And I have found that I have to make it simple. Yeah. And a routine can be one thing. Mm-hmm. A routine can be I drink tea when I wake up. A routine can be I sit there silently for 10 minutes. When I first made routines, as the no former athlete I am, I was like, okay, I'm going to do these 7 things in this order every morning. Erin, really? Are you? You're not.
You're too stringent.
You're not. Exactly.
Yeah.
What has surprised you most about being an entrepreneur?
If I take the actual business part out of it and what we're doing, the gravity of the responsibility, it's immense. And not just to keep us afloat and not just floating, but, winning the race, but also the people and the people that work with us and the responsibility to them to figure out how to give them hours so they have a paycheck. And then to the community to, make sure they have a space that they want to come to. And how do we create that for them on days where maybe there isn't something that they thought they would come in for. So it's probably that kind of heaviness of responsibility. Had I known so many of these things, I probably would have talked myself right out of all of it.
Yeah.
Because it might have felt too big. I'm so glad that I didn't know and that I did just say, okay, I'm just going to go for it and I will learn from it. And the art, I like to say the art of the pivot is real. I do it every day, all the time, almost minute by minute. That certainly was how we started the business. I was problem solving every minute. If you can be nimble and open to change, you're going to be just fine. You're going to figure it out, and you're going to be just fine. If you're taking the leap to even start a business, then you already have that. You already have that foundation, so you're going to be okay.
I just absolutely love all the things you're doing. I love also all the things that like you personally are getting out of this and are growing with.
Yeah.
And reclaiming your athlete identity recently, too.
Yeah, absolutely. I didn't know I would already understand so much in these several months, but it's been a fun ride so far.
When you were stepping back out of not working in sports, was that a big pull of like why you wanted to start, like feeling that loss of athlete in you and like wanting to find a way to get back into sports, or was that just kind of a happy coincidence?
I always missed being involved in sports in some way. And when I was leaning into opening the sports bar, I knew that would open up some things, but not to the extent that I'm seeing now. I mean, just being around other athletes all the time, just being around like-minded people all the time is so incredibly fulfilling. It's the energy. It's the camaraderie that I like to say is it's community, but there's a camaraderie there that just naturally exists in the space. I think if I knew that would be the fulfilling thing for me, then maybe a long time ago I would have been here already. I don't know. Everything led me to this, and I wasn't ready. If I look back, I wasn't ready until this moment to be here doing what I'm doing. Getting to be back in the sports world in a different way, and being able to throw them up on the screens and see these great games and bring people in together has been beyond fulfilling. And I already know that. Which is what's insane about this to me is that I can already see that and I can already feel that. And I already know that I have more things coming that I'm trying 100%. To do. So those moments where I get to stand back and I'm looking at a standing room only packed place, I am filling a void and happy and proud to be able to have done it because we needed it. We need them everywhere.
We do.
We
do.
And not just bar restaurants. Mm-hmm. We are more than that.
Correct.
And I hope that all of the other ones that are opening up have kind of come with that same perspective and lead with that because we have an opportunity here to truly make change and be a safe space right now in places that feel extra not safe.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
If I can be that, then that's another, side of this that's incredibly fulfilling as well.
The visibility of you actively watching, sports on TV, being able to see all these women's games that, let's be real, we used to have to hunt down what channel is this. You still do a little bit. It's getting better. It's getting better. But it's like if we all wanted to watch it at our own place, it's like, oh, okay, well, it's not actually going to be on TV, but I can go find this stream of it. Or it was hard.
Yeah.
Kids being able just to come in with their family and just like, oh yeah. At a sports bar, of course there's women's sports on TV.
Yeah.
Absolutely. I hope that you never even know or felt the fact that there were never women's sports on TV.
Right.
Exactly. We used to all just go to the sports bars with our families, or go to dinner, and it's like, there weren't going to be women on the TV.
Right. That wasn't even a thing.
No.
Yeah. And the other interesting thing, too, is that now you, as a consumer and a watcher of TV who likely streams, you can probably stay home and watch a lot of these by yourself.
It's true. Yeah.
This is why I'm trying to do something different. I'm trying to create a space where you want to come in and have that camaraderie and be around people who are enjoying what you're enjoying. Even if you're rooting for two different teams,
totally.
It's still fun and still safe and it's still invigorating and empowering and supportive and all those things. That's what I'm looking at because
Absolutely.
more and more people can, know.
Now you can more readily.
Yes.
Yeah. You guys haven't even been open for a year.
No.
I know you've been working on it for longer than that, and getting everything ready, but you are still.
We're babies.
You're babies.
We are
which
tots.
Is so fantastic.
Yeah, we're not even 9 months yet.
I was going to say,
yeah,
I hadn't calculated back, but yeah.
We'll have to have a big bash for the 1 year.
Yes.
I need to get planning on that, but
actually.
Yeah.
No, that is fantastic. So I pulled up some old photos. Tell me about the person in this picture.
Okay, first of all, I was a fucking badass lefty. Back then, I was left wing.
Yes.
And my role was to take the corners, cross. I would often freak and not score the goals when it was right in front of me because I think I saw myself more as an assister. But yeah, that's who this is in these photos. Those were really fun times, and loved playing in, I think this is AYSO, so probably high school years, and just lots of wild, fun, crazy times.
Yeah. What types of things were going on in her life? Where was she at mentally?
I probably wasn't the happiest, but I had sport that made me happy. Sport is really what kept me going, I think, for quite a bit. I had some struggles, and I was I don't know, probably if you would call it depressed or whatever, but not always happy. So I found sport to kind of feed me and give me that confidence. And so that's probably around those times, high school years, figuring myself out, all of that.
Yeah. What do you want to say to her now?
Wow. Well, look at you now. I mean, who'd have thought? But actually, who'd have thought? I think I always knew I had some sort of fire, was able to surpass a lot and get beyond a lot just because of me. Because I believed in me when nobody else did. This is Watch Me right here.
That is Watch
Me. Yeah.
What would she think about you today?
So my favorite singer of all time, which maybe you're too young to know of, Pat Benatar.
No, I know her. I know her.
So Pat Benatar is my all-time favorite, and I've had the opportunity to meet her several times. And one more recent time, I looked at her and I said, "Thank you for being such a badass." And there was a beat, and then she goes, "You're welcome," in true Pat form, and it was so great. I kind of feel like that right now. I kind of feel like I'm kind of busting some barriers right now, and I'm a little bit of a force right now. So I think this youngin' might look at me and say, "Keep going, keep doing it. You're exactly where you're supposed to be. Keep fighting the fight, and don't stop."
When did you start feeling that now recently?
Very, very recently. I came off of a staff meeting that I felt a little bit, to be honest, beat up from my team. My wife had to come to my rescue to say, "Hey, she's not the one who had hospitality. I did, and I had to not be involved because of personal things." And so I think in looking at all of that, going, you know what? I got us to here even without any of that. I think that's where I can start to recognize it. And then I think going back to the conversations that I'm having with the people that I'm having now, where people are seeing me and recognizing me, and I'm in the right rooms, I think that's maybe where it's very recent and fresh.
Yeah.
And it's fun.
Yeah.
I'm gonna feed on this. Yeah.
Yeah. Probably something that you weren't necessarily feeling like you needed to seek out for yourself.
No.
But it feels good.
But it turns out I did need to. I don't think I saw that or thought I should have that. I just kept leading with authenticity. Just go do what you think you should be doing. Go forward with where you think you should go. My soul is actually being fed. I'm getting that intrinsic value that I was so seeking, that I did know I was missing. I am being fed that now, and that's changing. That's changing the game for me.
I understand that feeling of feeling like you're in the right place now.
Yes. Yeah.
Makes a big difference.
Congrats
on a daily
to us.
basis.
Yeah.
Congrats to us.
Yes.
I love that.
Yeah.
Anything else you want to put out into the world right now? Anything else about your no former athlete journey that you want to share?
I feel like people just need to go for it. Whatever it is, whatever that go for it is, to each of us, we tend to talk ourselves right out of things so many times, and we do a good job at that.
We're so good.
And so if you really want it, and if you really are authentic and it's deep down in you and your soul, you'll figure out how to do it. You will find the support around you to do it. Those angels will appear for you.
Fair.
But I want to say thank you to you and what you're doing and shining a light on the topic, because so many of us go off and go into our other lives. And we don't actually have conversations about this. So kudos to you and what you're doing.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you. It's been so rewarding already. And same thing like to what you were just saying. If you're sitting there and you're waiting to do the thing until you know you can picture it perfectly and you know exactly whether it's going to be successful or not, you probably wouldn't have even been able to come up with the possibility of things that you're now getting the opportunities to do and where you're going.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for coming on the podcast. I'm so glad we finally made it happen. Looking forward to future things.
Thanks for supporting us in the early days, finding us, supporting us, coming to our pop-up before we had a space, and for having me today. I really appreciate it.
If you enjoyed this episode, please rate and review. You taking that 5 minutes makes a huge difference and helps us to be able to make more episodes like this. And if you want to see more content in between the episodes, follow us at No Former Athlete on Instagram, TikTok, and YouTube. I'm so glad you're a part of this No Former Athlete community. And if you know any No Former Athletes that you think I should get in touch with, DM me on Instagram at No Former Athlete. Thanks again for listening, and we'll see you in the next episode.